Hey guys, Ace here. It's been a while since we last spoke. Don't you worry, we're going to get into this whole replay analysis on the ZED, but real quick I want to tell you guys why we're doing something like this. For a while, we've kind of been split down the middle doing stuff on the patches and also making teaching videos for you guys to help you learn and improve. And we kind of realized that there's no point in doing the patch stuff if you guys don't actually learn anything from it. So going forward, we're only going to be focusing on making videos that teach you guys things either by explaining concepts, going over tips, or maybe going over replays like this one. And I'm really glad because, after all, my personal goal is to try and help you guys improve and at least teach you something on every single video. If you really get a lot out of this and you want more, feel free to check out the rest of the channel and of course like and subscribe, and even more is available on our website, GameLeap.com. Now I need to give you guys some background on the player that we're looking at because this guy's pretty nuts. His name is Eleanor. He's got nearly a 90% win rate on ZED, and he is Masters Plus on the Korean server. There's going to be a lot of information throughout the entire replay, and you might even come to realize that the gods of solo queue aren't as far out of reach as you might think. So let's kick it over to the replay. What are our goals for this game? First up, who are we fighting against? Well, it's a Lucian mid. So you need to minimize your damage taken and your deaths early on so that you can actually do things without falling super far behind. Part of that is our second goal, which is maximizing your CS while taking the least damage possible from the first point. And lastly, the biggest goal is to hit level 6 so that you can actually take over the lane. So let's get right into things. While we're following the minions into lane, I want to point something out here because we've actually already learned something by looking at the scoreboard. This ZED has taken Doran's shield, which instantly should tell you that 1, it's necessary, and 2, it's important. Because you just want to have a longsword or a refillable potion in every lane, right? Wrong. This guy knows that he's going to get auto-attacked and take damage over and over again, so he needs to be able to regenerate it, and we already have our first mistake, my friends. Check this out. Why is this man standing here? Look at where you're standing, right? Are you going to CS any of these? If you are this ZED, are you going to get any of the CS? No, you're not. You're not going to. You're going to be able to Q 1 or 2 of them, maybe. But when this solution is lining up, you can't get hit by this. Look at how much damage that did. That did pretty much 80, maybe 70 damage. That's a lot. It's going to add up. That Q cooldown on Lucian's pretty low. And if he's going to get auto-attacked at all, he's not going to be able to do anything about it. And look, guys, these minions aren't even dying. So why are you walking up in the lane? If this was you, you just made a mistake that could cost you more damage because this guy realized that he made a mistake and then instantly backed off after he took the Q damage. He didn't stick around and get hit even more. This could have been much worse, but it's already a mistake that you could be improving on. And like I said, he gets to Q this minion, get at least one of them, and he'll be able to probably CS this one as well. Why couldn't you just wait for that in the first place? Again, he lines up for a Q and he takes even more damage, and the Lucian actually cancels his auto attack there. He could have done even more damage to this ZED. While we're here, I want to pull up the timer for you guys so you could see this. It's 2 minutes into the lane, and this player has already made the same mistake twice in a row. He got hit by Lucian's Q both times when he really just should not have. If that's how many mistakes he's making, you need to take the time and think about how many mistakes you're making and what you could improve on. Let's see what else this lane has to offer, as right now it's frozen in a pretty nice spot for him and keeps shoving under tower. Oh, no, don't, no. All right, well, this is it. This is it. This is the lesson right here, guys. You remember how we said our first goal was to minimize the damage we were taking? That is why it's the first goal and not the second one. The second one is get CS, because right here, boom, half your health is gone. If Lucian does that again, you're at danger of dying. You can't stick around the lane like that, and you can't just trade away half your health for 1 CS. That is never, ever worth it. And if you ever find yourself in a situation like this, please make the right choice and don't take all that damage. What I will say that's good for this ZED player and something that you should try and emulate is that Q right there. Those Qs are your best friend. When you're playing in the lane, especially against somebody who can bully you like a Lucian, you need to be careful where you throw your Qs. Because if you're just throwing them through a bunch of minions every single time, 1, you're cutting the amount of damage that you deal and making it harder to CS those minions that are low health. And 2, because you're hitting all the other minions, you might be pushing the wave without realizing. And if you do that too much, you might get a freeze on yourself that really, really sucks. When you're right here, this is great, right? You're safe enough that you can Q minions pretty reliably. You could pick up a bunch of CS. But if you overextend into the enemy side of the lane and all of a sudden it's frozen here, how do you break it? You're gonna feel absolutely powerless and feel stuck because there's nothing you could do without overextending in a position that your enemy could kill you. and you don't want to rely on somebody like a jungler or a support coming to bail you out. Now we're closing in on the level 3. Oh, but he missed a CS there. That's so sad. In case you guys missed it, check this out here. So this is fine. You know, he takes a little bit of damage from the Lucian, and the minion wave is going to stack up. Like I said, nice and frozen here, which is very nice for him. And right here, he picks up another minion, and when he goes for this melee minion, he actually misjudges his own Q damage. It sucks, it happens, but you want to try and minimize that as much as possible. This is what I mean by level 3 being a really big equalizer in this lane, because while yes, Lucian is getting more and more tools, so are you as the Zed. And check out what he does here. It's actually really, really good lessons in how to use your W. He uses the WE to instantly hit the Lucian, and then he waits. He doesn't throw the Q, and he waits for the Lucian to be baited by him moving forward, and he immediately clicks backwards, and then tries to throw his Q to hit both of them. Unfortunately, he only hits one, but still, that trade was really, really good. He took basically 0 damage for that. If you can get that off a couple times, as you can see, he already forced the Lucian to use his health potion, and you could really easily start equalizing the health in the lane, and maybe even get a kill, even though the Lucian has an exhaust. Now, okay, I was about to compliment this guy again, but he just ruined it. Once again, we're gonna bring up some numbers here in a second when it happens, but guys, you can't be hit by the free damage that the enemies are throwing at you. If you dodge it, it's so much better for you because you're making them waste mana for nothing, but right there, he just ticked the Zed for another Q. And this pretty much equalizes their health bars. I'm going to bring up the target frame here so we could take a look at just exactly how much damage this has done. Right now, rank 2 Lucian Q is doing 140 with the stats that he has. So he just tagged him for roughly 100 damage with that because armor matters, right? But if you don't take the 3 or 4 Qs that this Lucian has landed on this Zed all throughout the laning phase, you're saving like 300, maybe 250 health. That's a lot. This is how dodging 1, 2, or even 3 things can add up over time. Right, we're only like 3 or 4 minutes in the lane, and this guy could be so much healthier to the point where he could afford to take more damage and get more CS, or maybe even go all in for a solo kill because of it. This is how you have to think about the trades and where you're taking damage in lane, and it's why the #1 goal is minimize your damage taken. So at this point in this game, this guy's in a pretty good spot. He really hasn't given up much in the early game, and while sure, he's made some mistakes here and there, nothing's catastrophic. Taking a look at the scoreboard, he's 2-2. He's down roughly 20 CS, which is expected in a bad lane like this. So if you're here, you're in a good spot to take over the game. And keep in mind, this guy went for an Umbral Glaive first item, so it's not even like he has a Dusk Blade or anything crazy. He's not going super high economy. He's not getting all the farm in the world. Let's see what he does here. And actually, right away, we can see... Oh, remember how we talked about earlier? Exhaust doesn't matter? Fellas, I'm pretty sure he hit every single one of his skill shots here. So, we just talked about surprising somebody from the bush. Hello, it happens. It's almost like I have clairvoyance. Then he goes in with the RE auto, which is the best way for you to guarantee damage on somebody. They cannot dodge anything unless they flash perfectly, which obviously this guy cannot because he does not have flash up right now, as his is mirrored with the Zed's. And then Zed goes and predicts the Lucian's E, hits him with all 3 Qs, and the Lucian even exhausts him, but guess what? Exhaust doesn't matter, and he dies to the Ignite. And again, this isn't a Duskblade, he's just got a cheap 2,300 gold item, and unfortunately he dies to the Karthasar, but still, he's taken over the lane, right? Lucian can no longer be oppressive to him, he just killed him straight through Exhaust. This is where you want to be when you're playing Zed in the mid lane. If you guys want to see standard combos executed to basically perfection, that's one right there. Look at this. You throw out your W with your E so that the slow affects somebody, and then here he predicts the Lucian's dash slightly by angling his shurikens this way, and it manages to hit him with a bunch of damage, and like, this is just, you know, he just lost half his health, and Zed's gonna lose maybe, you know, 300, maybe a fifth of his health at most in retaliation from the Lucian. And if he had his R right now, he could totally just destroy this guy, but you're not online 24/7. You do have to wait for your cooldowns. We've reached the point in the stage where Zed is now already caught up to the Lucian in CS, and let's face it, is really dumpstering this guy. He's 1-5-2 now, which is way different from what was looking like earlier, and it seems like Zed has gotten to the point where he's running around the map and killing everybody. But we actually see our first really bad mistake there that could totally change how the play goes, and I'm sure you saw it, but we may as well go over it and talk about what could change here, what could be better, right? Zed is not looking at himself right now, by the way. If you guys play on lock screen, you got to be careful. You need this information that you see here on the screen as we show you. He's constantly looking at this Lucian and judging the max range of his abilities so that he could go onto him. There's no real way to do that quickly if you're playing on lock screen. Then from there, he dives in and uses his E, But what for some reason doesn't register in his mind is that the Lucian is going to die no matter what, and so you don't need to throw your shurikens here, like he does, right? Because right here he throws them downwards for some reason, as if he's expecting the Lucian to flash or walk downwards towards the wall to use his E over. But he's 100% dead. So if you have a little bit more patience than this player, then you could have aimed your shurikens better and hit the Karthus here, and then you could kill him as you swap out to your Shadow, which would be really impactful, because now there's way less numbers on the field for you to be able to push towers in mid and push a tower in bot if you go to split push. But instead, he actually ends up dying to the Karthus' ulti, likely because he didn't kill the Karthus in time. Either way, a lesson's been learned. Skipping ahead a bunch because the enemy team really hasn't been doing very much this game and has mostly been getting stomped. They mount their first resistance here, where Zed actually gets to show off some really nice mechanics against multiple members of the enemy team. Right here, you could see he flashes to make sure the Misfortune can't get away even with summoner spells, and then beautifully lines up on this Karma. Look at this, guys. This is what I meant before in that example when we talked about appraising the situation and not throwing shurikens at people who are already dead. Zed's looking at this flash R, he knows that she's dead. All he has to do is E-auto, and that's why he throws his shurikens over at the Karma. Plus, the Ignite triggers the Electrocute, and she dies, and that's a sick pickup. And now he can just exit, and like I said, Misfortune dies anyway, and ooh, some fancy stuff. Well, he's gonna die to an ulti, isn't he? I stand corrected. Okay, well, he's dead now. Okay. Well, either way, he was really fancy and really feeling himself. When you're R-ing back to where your Shadow was, remember that it places the Shadow where you were. So, as you can see here, this Remnant here is going to set up the play in the future on the Karthus here. And that's why he all of a sudden turns back in, because he realizes that he gets another Shuriken in, and honestly, he probably didn't even need to swap in, because he was throwing 3 Shurikens there. He could have just thrown the Shadow and hit Karthus with all 3, and I think he might have died. I'm pretty confident that he felt that that was necessary, and I don't blame him for that. After all, he did style on him, and he would have gotten out if he didn't taunt in his face, probably. But at the very least, he gets the Lucian flash out of it. To find more replay analysis like this, we have tons and tons of this up on our website where everything is done by Challenger level players on Challenger level players. That way you know you can get the best of the best information. Even if you feel like you're not quite ready to make use of something like that, we have plenty of content for all levels of players on a lot of champions and concepts in League. We're always working on releasing more and more content, so if it's not there right now, it will be in the future, I guarantee it. So make sure you go check us out and learn as much as you possibly can to win your games.